Hello, welcome to our screencast. We have Miss McKernan and Miss Kim, and this is Mr. Knox. As always, you can pause this video anytime you want, and you guys should be following along in your textbook. This is Chapter 7, Section 3 and 5 in the textbook. We're on pages 241 through 246, that's for Section 3, and then page 255 through 257 for Section 5. A reminder to you all, there's going to be a chapter test, Chapter 7 test on October the 2nd. So be prepared for that, the chapter test on October the 2nd. All right, here we go. Why are there so many species of plants and animals on the earth? Well, if you guys think about it, there's lots of different environments, things from deserts to oceans to rainforest. And if you guys look outside, there's many different organisms outside as well. So these different environments allow for the different animals. These animals have evolved to live in a specific environment. If you look at the ears of an elephant, they have adapted those large ears to dissipate heat. Desert fox also has large ears to dissipate heat. Desert hare, desert rabbit, again, large ears to dissipate heat. If you look at animals that live in colder environments, they're usually shorter and fatter. The polar bear, not quite as long of legs. The Arctic fox, the shorter ears. So they have had adaptations to live in particular environments. This is why we get so many different plants and so many different animals out there.
Another reason is because not all organisms do not have the same genes. Even brothers and sisters, they don't have identical traits. Remember the sunflower seeds? We thought they would all look the same, but they were very different. And also think about, all the different organisms. To us, ladybugs may all look the same, but actually, they are not identical. Okay. How do new species form? First, a group of organisms have to get isolated and cut off from the rest of the group. Think about the finches. They were isolated by an ocean. Also, other things that can isolate a group could be rivers, big rivers, lakes, mountains, volcanoes. In today's world, when they build big highways or roads and big towns, that can isolate a group of organisms.
Yeah.
Think of the movie Over the Hedge.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Australia has been isolated for millions of years, and they have lots of different weird animals that we don't see on the mainland.
Weird or different?
Different animals. You're right. Want to do this one?
Okay. Why don't you guys pause the video and think about how new species form?
All right, so there's a couple different ways animals become extinct. A change could occur in the species environment. Climate change is the leading cause of this. An example of climate change is the Ice Age. So organisms that lived before the Ice Age, if they could not adapt to the cold, they could become extinct. And some animals after the Ice Age ended couldn't adapt to the warmer weather, like the woolly mammoths, and they became extinct too. Another way is if the species is unable to adapt and reproduce. So today our climate is changing fast, it's becoming hotter, and animals may not be able to adapt and reproduce, and this is a worry to scientists. If they cannot adapt and reproduce, they will become extinct. Extinct means that no members of the species are still alive. So examples of species that are no longer alive is the dodo bird, the Tasmanian tiger, the passenger pigeon, and of course, dinosaurs. Branching tree diagrams are also called phylogenetic trees, and they show probable evolutionary relationships among organisms. So they're really a visual representation of how closely organisms are related. The base of the tree, so down at the bottom, is a common ancestor for all organisms in the diagram. Characteristics that appear lower on the tree developed before those higher on the tree. Also, species on the same branch are more closely related than species on other branches. And we know this based on fossil evidence, and today we also use DNA evidence to look at how closely organisms are related.
So if we look at this branching tree, I'm going to ask Miss Kim a couple questions. According to this branching tree, we have fish right here. Fish are the common ancestor of what species, Miss Kim? Would fish be the common ancestors of amphibians? Or would fish be more closely related to spiders and arachnids?
According to the branching tree, the amphibians branched off from the fish, so the answer would be amphibians. And also to add, mammals, reptiles, and birds also evolved from the fish.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. Also, are arachnids, spiders, related to brachiopods? So we have arachnids right here, and we have brachiopods right here.
Brachiopods and arachnids are related, but they're distantly related. You can see that they have branched off early on.
Okay. Excellent. This is a very complex evolutionary tree. You'll probably see this in college and stuff like that in high school. But as you know, there's millions and millions and millions of species out there. So these evolutionary trees are enormously complex. All right, that concludes Chapter 7, Sections 3, as well as Sections 5 in the textbook. Thank you.